Thanks for staying with us on the Sports Show. Time to turn our attention to the Southern Footy League. Poppy, and as always, the master, Craig Warman's been good enough to join us. Craig, how are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, boys. Big week again in the Southern Footy League. We've got lots of things happening.
Now, mate, you've got a special guest, and we'll get to him in a minute.
Yes.
Let's have a quick
Well,
chat with you.
he's more than a special guest. He's an SFL coach at the moment, soon to be AFL coach, I would have thought, after the last few weeks.
All right, we'll just keep the viewers on a string there.
We'll keep it on a hook.
Yeah. Mate, give us last week. What were the big results last week?
Mate, look, Happy Valley had a good win over Aldinga. Aldinga right in the game up until the last quarter. 20 points in the end to Happy Valley. Brighton comfortable winners over Lonsdale. Christie's Beach had a good win over Morphy Parks, who were previously undefeated. Flagstaff Hill, pretty easy winners over Hackham. Ranella beat Marion in what was a lot closer than people thought. Morpeth Vale come back to form after being beaten the week before by Noarlunga. So they're back on the march. And of course our match of the day on Tribe FM was Noarlunga and Cove, and that was down to probably the last 5 minutes of the game. The experience of Noarlunga and their bigger bodies just took it away from the youngsters at Cove.
No games in that round where one of the teams were down by about 35 points going into the last quarter and were able to turn it around through brilliant coaching.
Don't give away all the secrets.
No, I'm just asking, was there any of that in the Southern Footy League? No. All right, coming up this week, what have you got?
Mate, some good games. You've got Morphy Parks, hopefully will rebound against Brighton. Brighton picked up a couple of injuries over last week.
What do you mean they'll hopefully rebound? You're a bit of a fan? You don't like Brighton? What is it?
No. Morphy Parks were sitting top of the table. They got flogged by Christie's.
Yeah.
You
want them to bounce back?
They need to bounce back. They need to bounce.
And no disrespect to Brighton?
No, but their record against Brighton, there's a little bit of angst, but both being
good
down the hill clubs. And they've had rivalry over years.
You've got to keep him honest, because I sense.
I haven't listened to this. Anyway, Happy Valley Port and the Lunga will be a ripper at Happy Valley.
Yeah.
Marion take on Morpheville Park. Noarlunga and Flagstaff Hill is probably the game of the round.
Who don't you like out of those two?
Oh, he's not bad, is he?
Mate, he's the president. He has to like everyone.
I've got 14 clubs.
14 favourites.
Yep. 14 favourites.
What about these the last three?
Yeah,
the last two.
Sullivan's Beach will take on Cove. Cove should look to consolidate there. And our match of the day on Tribe FM 91.1 is Aldinga and Hackham. So at Hackham. So looking for a big crowd down there.
Is this the first week we're not playing for anything? You know, we're not playing for the sock. We're not playing for the Anzac medal. We're not. Is this nothing this week other than footy results?
Just normal points this week.
Fantastic.
Okay.
What's the quality been like before we introduce the guest? What's the quality been like in the opening few rounds of the year? Been happy with it?
I've been very happy with it. Last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of blowout games, but we saw that in the AFL with the Greater Western Sydney. So you're always going to get that. But all in all, been pretty pleased with the way things have panned out for the first 4 rounds.
Good on you.
All right, mate. Now, our next guest, of course, sitting right next to you, has done a sensational job down there in his 3rd year with the Panthers, sitting nicely on top of the ladder. Now, how do you get your hands on a coach and get him to come in like that?
Mate, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You know that, Phil.
You do.
Anyway,
Yep.
I thought this week been a really big week for the underdog, so to speak, with the Reds taking out the Premier's Cup.
Leicester.
Highlander. Leicester City after 132 years.
Yeah.
No pressure on this gentleman, but he's now 5 and zip, sitting atop of the SFL, and I speak none other than Brad Gotch. G'day, Gotchy, how are you? But we've got to get over 64. Can we do it?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me, Craig.
No pressure.
No pressure on, but look, we've been building towards something the last couple of years, and we're hopeful that this could be the year where we could do something, and so far so good.
There were some signs last year, and I think you always believed yourself in the system that you'd put together. I guess you'd need to have the stock to do it. Do you feel as though you've got that?
Yeah, well, just firstly about last year, we had 3 drafted from the previous year, and we lost our captain, Josh Thulis, who's one of our spirit of our club. And we had a few injuries as well in the second half of the year, which people don't realise. And when you lose a 3-time best and fairest winner like a Nick Little, it does knock you around a little bit. So we went out of the finals in the last game of the year. So for us, when we reviewed it, we were shattered that the year was not what we wanted, but we thought if we can get all those guys back on the park, we recruit well, which we've done okay, and we get everyone fit, we're a bit of a chance, we felt, because we know the method works now, and so far so good. You know, we're proving that is the case, and no more so on the weekend.
When you say the method works, you know, you get coaches who have grown up in an environment, in a club environment, and I guess the sexy club at the moment is Hawthorn. You see all the former players become assistant coaches so that they can draw from that. Where do you draw? Where do you draw from?
Well, I've been at a few clubs over the years.
Yeah, and that's why
so I've had to try and work out in my own head me compared to all the things that I've learnt.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say that the previous 2 years I had at Port Adelaide had a big influence over my coaching, and certainly a year with Ken Hinkley was a big one, because I just really liked the way Ken went about it and learned a few things there. So I've been very decisive and strong in what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I've brought a few modern methods to the way that we play, and also I've probably put a lot of time into development and training, and that's had a big impact. Plus we brought in leading teams from a culture development point of view, and that's had a big impact. Now, you know, I know Phil has been one of at the echelon of, or the top of the tree, so to speak, but leading teams is a simple concept, and it's worked really well for our footy club. And it basically has why you exist and has some behaviours that underpin it, and that's just suited us down to the ground. And the leaders have been able to drive that and learn about how to do it. And yeah, so far there's a lot going on out in the ground that, I don't know, I haven't got as many grey hairs because of it, I'd think, because they're driving a lot of things out there. I don't have to go sending the runner out every minute of the game because of mistakes or errors or things not happening. And that's the sign of a good side, as Phil would know.
Yeah, mate, nice of you to give some credit to leading teams, but I think we're going to come back to you for a fair bit of credit, and we don't want to blow too much smoke, because then you'll go back and lose next week and we'll have to wear that. But we're talking off air. You talked about taking a gamble last season and bringing some young kids in. Had to wear some criticism. Coaches always wear criticism, especially when they lose. How do you reckon that's panned out for you?
Yeah, look, really pleased about that. Just for an example, we've got a Ugandan boy called Emmanuel Era that's 21 years of age, was in the AIS squad as a 17-year-old and didn't quite kick on in the previous 4 years. Gave him a bit of game time last year. He was nearly going to leave the club at the start of last year to go to another club because he thought he wasn't getting an opportunity. But I convinced him to stay. He's a local boy, put a lot of time in him, and he's a ripper. And yeah, he played 16 games last year. This year he's in the state squad.
Wow.
You know, it's been quite a remarkable turnaround in such a short period. And then there's a number of other players of similar ilk where we put 15, 16 games into them last year, and they're playing better footy for it. And then the other side of it is we've got about 6 guys with over 25 years of age, only 100 games of experience now. So, and as you know, in sort of some sort of window, you need experience combined with some middle tier players and some younger players. And we seem to have a good mix of that. Just fingers crossed that we can keep everyone on the park, because that's, at the moment, we've got about 2 guys out.
Well, that's difficult to juggle, though. Easy to say that we're going to get the experience, 25 plus, then we're going to bring on the young kids, then that group in the middle. Haven't been able to juggle that over 3 years, because sometimes with you develop these terrific young kids and then their draft just comes and takes them.
Yeah.
So you need to have some kids coming in behind that. Then the right type of player to be your senior players, because they're going to have a massive input on the younger kids accelerating their learning. How have you been able to balance that over 3 seasons?
We've topped it up with a little bit of recruiting as well. Tom Fields came back from Carlton this year with a year under his belt, so that's been a really handy addition. Cam Hitchcock, who we know is an AFL player that went out and played at Ironbank last year, has come in this year and is really playing some good football. So I suppose a little bit selective with the recruiting that we did as well, and also the development. Our seconds beat the Eagles on the weekend, and the Eagles have won the last 3 premierships, I think, and haven't lost a game for 2 years. So that was a really big milestone to see that change.
And I think it's great to see how players react in different circumstances. Okay, you've had some close battles, you've had some wins where you come out of the blocks and you just show a bit of authority, but it must give you some satisfaction at the end of last weekend to go home and think they probably learnt just as much about themselves as you did about them. Believing they can win from there is a big, big thing.
Yeah, it is a huge thing, Poppy, that just talking to the boys during the week, you could tell that belief that they can actually do something against the best, probably the second best team going around at the minute.
Yeah.
You know, and we know that they're one of the best finishing teams in the competition too, and we didn't let that affect us. But looking back on the game and watching it, as coaches do, you look at it and you think, look, the effort was always there. We were a little bit starstruck by the opposition, and I did one of my better speeches at half time. I got a little bit fired up because I have had 8 years with Malthouse and 2 years with Rocket Eade. So
say no more.
I did lose my way. I went in and said, let's relax, boys, and then I went off my nut. So I don't know what happened there, but Phil had probably ought to...
Yeah, I've seen both Malthouse and Rodney go. I reckon Rodney's a bit better than Malthouse when it comes to the volcano eruption.
Yeah.
Where would you have rated yourself at half time out of 10 on the eruption?
Well, the coach said it was one of my better ones. So it was
Paint peeler?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just thought that I did a good balance of strongness to what we needed, but also the remedial action that we needed as well. So there was a bit of pumping up, and then there was a bit of a little bit individual stuff.
And I guess that's great for the whole region. You know, we talk about the Southern Football League. To have a side that's for so long been promising to now, you know, the whole area, the whole community can start to feed off that.
Look, very much so. And again, we have a really good rapport with South Adelaide. Our offices are there at South Adelaide, so we're in constant contact with them. And of course, we have a lot of our juniors are coming through their development squads from the Southern Footy League.
All right, we've got plenty of questions to ask you. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, Gotch, but I was down on the river on the weekend with Neil Curley, and we were out fishing. 1964, of course. We're talking about curls and the premiership.
Yes.
Said, just get it done. Gotcha, that's it. His message, if I see you, was get it done. So
Well,
I don't know if he's a bloke you want to mess with.
Well, I know I wouldn't mess with him, but I would certainly respect what he said, and I get great joy out of him paying interest in what we're doing, because you know, he was the doyen of everyone, of coaching in this state and the whole of Australia.
Yeah, we're certainly aware of what you're doing, mate. So well done. It was great for you to bring him in. Fellas, time for us to go. We need to get to a break. Stay with us. Still plenty to come.